Hey, what's up? Welcome to Offshore Audio. I'm Andrew, I'm a live sound engineer, and I'm here to bring you tips and tricks to mix better live events. Now, an important part of live events is monitoring. So we're going to take a look at my 6 tips for better monitor mixes. So if you don't know already, monitors are the speakers that artists use on the stage to hear what they're playing. That's separate from the front of house PA, which is the speakers that are playing towards the audience. I'll link a video up there to audio jargon that we use in terminology if you're not familiar with this, but it's just the speakers that artists use to hear themselves. Now that could be speakers on the stage playing back at them, or it might be in-ear monitors, that is headphones that the artists have to hear their own separate mix. But getting them right is super important, so let's look at the 6 tips. Tip number 1 is getting the right monitor placement. So there is a unique interaction between the microphone and the monitor speaker. We've talked about feedback before. We know that feedback is caused by the sound of the microphone coming out the speaker and back in the microphone and stuff. And this relationship between the microphone and the monitor is really, really important. So you need to know where the null point, the rejection zone of the artist's microphone is, and you need to place that monitor in that rejection zone. That might be right behind the microphone, it might be slightly to the side of the microphone. That's something that you need to find out for each microphone. Now, it's really important as well to know how the monitor plays sound. That's really important about the positioning. You need to make sure that where the artist is standing, they can hear the monitor speaker. Because if you push that monitor right up to their toes, it may end up just playing into their torso and they're actually not hearing much, which leads to them asking for more and more in their monitors, which leads to feedback. So listen to the monitors and be aware of how the monitors send sound up to the artist. Pay attention to where they're positioned. Also pay attention to if it is stereo or dual monitors, the positioning of both of those and the stereo image for the artist. Number 2 is ring out the monitors. This helps enormously with combating feedback. Ringing out the monitors is just playing sound through them until you hear feedback and then notching out that feedback with an EQ. And you can do this in a small venue by just turning the monitors round on the stage to face you at the mix position, getting your microphone and then turning that up in the monitor until you start to hear the feedback, going to your EQ for that master bus which sends to that monitor, and then notching out the frequencies which are feeding back. Now, as always with this kind of technique, make sure that you're not cutting more than 3 decibels per EQ move and aim for 3 to 4 EQ cuts in total across the spectrum. Once you've done this, turn the level up in the monitor and make note of your gain on your microphone and the level that your microphone gets to in that monitor before it feeds back. That way you know where your limit is for that monitor. And if an artist keeps asking for more and more, you have this sort of hard limit where you can say, look, it's not going to go any higher. I'd just like to remind you that EQ is so important in this process, especially in the ringing out of the monitors, and a thorough understanding of EQ is also really important. So that's why I recommend that you check out my 3-step guide to perfect EQ. It's just a PDF guide that will help you on your way to understanding EQ, and you can get that by heading to the link in the description down below or by heading to offshoreaudio.no/EQ. And it's totally free, so it's a no-brainer. Number 3, listen in to the monitors, right? Get on stage and hear what the artist hears in those monitor speakers. Don't trust your ears from the back of the room to identify frequencies to feed back, and don't trust what the artist tells you is feeding back. Artists say loads of crazy stuff like, oh, there's something at 500 hertz when there's this really shrill noise happening that's clearly not 500 hertz. So it's your job, you're responsible for that sound. Don't trust them. Even if they are a professional and you do trust them, get up there and verify again for yourself. And do this for the tonality of the monitors as well, right? When you're playing music or the band is playing, stand on the stage next to the artist and listen to what they hear and think to yourself, how does that sound? Is it clear? Is it harsh? Make a mental note, talk to them afterwards, and then make that adjustment on the mixer and check again to double check that everything is sounding better and that you've not made it worse. Number 4 is a bit of a cheat point because it's totally related to number 3, but that is use headphones when you're mixing in-ears. Use your own headphones or use your own in-ear monitors when you adjust any levels on in-ear monitors, because you don't want to make any changes that might go straight into someone's ears and then damage their hearing, give them a shock, anything like that. You want to be completely aware of what they're hearing and hear their stereo image and their mix that they get. It's related back to this standing on the stage. You want to hear what the artist hears. So don't make sudden adjustments as well. Don't just rock up the fader because you don't know what the volume they have on their belt pack is, and be very conservative with levels. Great way to ensure this is, of course, as I said, having your headphones on while you do it. You don't want to deafen yourself, you don't want to deafen them. I recommend also starting with your talkback, getting your talkback into the monitor, asking the artist, can you hear me? Asking them, is this level appropriate for my talkback? That will give you an idea of how loud things should be, and you can then balance that mix using your own headphones to the sound of your talkback. Number 5 is know your signal flow in and out. Know exactly how the signal moves from your mixer to that speaker on the stage, or to that in-ear belt pack, or to the sender that's wirelessly transmitting to the in-ear monitors. You need to know when the sound comes in, how it's getting to the bus, and how that bus is routed out of your mixer. Is it on the back of your mixer? Is it on a stage box? And if you needed to change it up, how would you do that? Is it a pre-fader mix? Is it a post-fader mix? I always recommend a pre-fader mix for monitors because I don't like the idea of me dragging down a fader on the mixer and that screwing up the artist mix. So I would say always go with a pre-fader mix. Know as well, when it comes out of your stage box, is it going into an amplifier? Where does it go into the amplifier? Which channel? Which channel does it come out of the amplifier on? Are they active speakers? Are they passive speakers? If they're active, what volume are they at? What tone controls have been set? Just know all this stuff back to front, and that will allow you to adapt to any changes in monitoring. Like when someone suddenly brings in their in-ears and says, oh, can you just patch me into your system? You need to know where to do that. And number 6, my final tip. This is really, really important. Know how wireless microphones work. Go and take the Shure wireless certification. I'll link to a video where you can read about that and get the link to that down below. But knowing how wireless microphones and transmitters work is so essential in today's world, because if you get an artist that comes in and they just rig up their wireless in-ear system, that might screw up other wireless systems that you're using on that event. It might screw up other artists. What if you have multiple artists on the bill? Someone comes in with their wireless equipment, doesn't scan anything, next person comes in, doesn't scan anything, and you end up with a disaster where the monitors aren't working during the performance. I had this at a show just the other day, really, really tight sound checks, and then someone said, oh, I've got my wireless in-ears. I usually just plug them in and it just works. And it's just a no from me. That's a hard no from me because who knows what will happen. The artists clearly don't know how it works. You need to know how it works. So have a wireless strategy. If you're going to be ringing out the monitors, then you need a really good grasp of EQ. So I recommend that you head to offshoreaudio.no/EQ and get my free 3-step guide to perfect EQ. This is just a PDF guide that you can use to get my take on how I perform EQ for basically everything, including mixing channels and monitors. It's just a simple PDF you can have with you. Don't need to stop during a show and check anything. You can just take a glance at it or read it before, and that'll give you my strategy. It's always worked for me, so maybe it'll work for you. offshoreaudio.no/EQ for that free guide, or the link in the description. For now, I'll leave some links around about to other mixing technique videos and how to get your system set up and sounding great. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.